So in what might turn out to be one of the worst things that Christy Sides has done as a coach, she may have injured, well, obviously didn't injure, but she may have gotten both Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark injured by playing them down 30 in garbage time. Before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are, what are we, like 150 off? I think we're like 150 off 6,000 subscribers. Yeah, we're 100, and when I'm finishing recording this, we are 152 off. If we had hit that by like the end of the day, that would be unbelievable. Huge thank you guys for all the support on the channel recently. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. So, in yesterday's game against the Liberty, the Fever got demolished. They got absolutely destroyed. It was either a thrown game by Christy Sides or the worst coach game in the history of basketball. She either threw the game by running everything that hasn't worked for the entire year. Caitlin Clark told her, go stand in that corner and don't leave that corner. Running through Nalissa Smith, who had the ball in her hands 75% of the time in the Fever's offenses, and ended the game with, not Nalissa Smith, Kelsey Mitchell. Sorry, ignore what I just said right there. Kelsey Mitchell, who had 0 assists and the ball in her hands. She just went hezzy, tween like a 2K my player, missing a lot of her shots. Even after an unbelievably hot first half, she still shot like 40% from the field. You've then got Nalissa Smith, who obviously has been fine. She's actually just been, she's been very good since Fabian went down. Aaliyah Boston, who, I don't know what the hell's wrong with Aaliyah Boston. And then every single offensive set that had been working, you stopped running. And I just don't understand the rotations. I don't know what the hell Celeste Taylor has to do to play the sport of basketball, but clearly, like, she must have threatened Christy Sides or something. That's the only excuse for her to be playing this little. But it was an awful, awful game. And then down the stretch, there's about 7 minutes to go. They're down 30. And they put Caitlin Clark back in the game. Like, she pulled Caitlin Clark and she put Caitlin Clark back in the game. And on like the second possession, what happens? The Indiana Fever are notoriously bad for talking on defense. Caitlin Clark does not see a screen, gets creamed by the screen. Like, she doesn't see it, bang, gets hit by a brick wall in the side of her head and goes out with ear pain. A lot of people were saying, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard, by the way. And like, normally I'm like, there are reasons why people are having good, bad games. Like, it could be, again, 11 games in 20 days. Feet aren't under her, no break, tiredness. And people are like, oh, excuses. Oh, she got shook up by like 3 cheap shots and she was just shook for the rest of the game. It was like, excuses. But like, I'm like, there are like legitimate excuses and then there are BS ones. People saying she must have had an ear infection so her equilibrium was off, which is why she went 1 of 10 field. Well, she went 1 of 10 because she kept shooting dumb shots. There's no ear infection, she got hit. It was an impact injury, which is a little bit more scary because you just never know how something like that's going to be. Because if it is an impact thing, if it ain't with the eardrum, that could actually affect her balance. And that could be, like, especially when they're playing the Mystics, if they go and lose to the Mystics, it'll be a tough one. If I'm Caitlin Clark, if I'm not 100%, I don't play. I think Caitlin Clark, if she's not 100% for the rest of the year, she doesn't play. I think her sitting out a game is more beneficial than her going out there and stinking it up. Especially because of just the whole discourse on social media, just everything. If you're not 100%, and it's the same thing with Angel Reese. If you're hurt, don't play. Like, if Angel Reese is hurt and can't jump and can't really do anything, and she has a 0-0-0 1 rebound game, and then social media goes into an absolute shambles, like, it's just not worth it. But there was a picture going around basically of the Fever team, and people said the full Fever team on their day off, and I'm like, it was like 5 of their players. Albeit a lot of their young players, like Grace Berger was there, Celeste Taylor, Lexi Hall, Aaliyah Boston, but I don't think Nalissa Smith was there. Or Saxon was there as well. But everyone's talking about, oh, Caitlin Clark's not there, she's not a good team. And it's like, one, she went off yesterday holding her ear. If there's even a 1% chance something's wrong, she's not going to be on a boat. She's not going to be out about it. And this is like the most overthinking thing ever. If you know anything about like ear infections and stuff and just stuff in your ear, you don't go into water. You don't go into water if you have an ear issue. But yeah, it is funny to see how Twitter are reacting to stuff like that. But do I think she's going to play against the Mystics? Yeah. I think she'll be fine. I don't think it's anything too crazy. But I'd be a little bit more worried about Aliyah Boston's ankle. I'd be more worried about that because that was a mad one. Someone just fell on her foot. Like, I don't think there was it's not malicious, but it's like, it's just, there was no need for her to be on the floor. And like, look, I think Aliyah Boston's been terrible this year. Not in general. She's been terrible compared to how good she was last year. She's been terrible compared to her expectations. And I would hope the standard she probably sets for herself, she's been poor. That doesn't mean she's a terrible player, just compared to the all-star starter last year, she has been bad. But that was just risky by Christy Sides. And her refusal to play Saxton and Celeste Taylor, no matter what, makes no sense. Like, there is no way that when you're down 30, just put them on the floor. How bad is Saxton if she just cannot be on the floor? Like, if she's that bad, cut her. She played like 0 minutes a game last year. She's been there for 2 years. If she's that bad, you can't put her on the floor, cut her. This is not the NBA where you've got a 15-man roster, 2-way players, and a G League team. You have got 12 players. Especially when Temi Bentley goes down injured. You have 10 players. You can have 1 to 2 injuries, and suddenly you're down to 10 players. And then there's foul trouble. And you might have to play Celeste Taylor and Saxton. Why not? Why not, like, I don't know. Why not, like, give them a run? Get them used to playing? Just makes no sense. As well as that, I don't understand why. I don't really know that much about the ins and outs. Why did the Indiana Fever cut Vivians? Like, she should be a starter for them this year. But that's here nor there, like. But yeah, it was just an absolute brain dead decision to play them. And they got very lucky. I gotta say it. They got extremely lucky that the Aliyah Boston injury doesn't seem to be anything too crazy. They got lucky that they could have gotten lucky that the Caitlin Clark thing isn't too bad. But at the same time, like, Christy Sides has got to be more careful. If you're down 30, like she said, all the players wanted to compete. If you're down 30, just say to them, being like, look, we want to compete in this game, but we want to win. We want to make the playoffs. We want to make the playoffs, and we're not risking you in this game. Like, you're a coach, you put your foot down. There's a way of talking to your players, and you might say, oh, you might lose the team like that. You can't just let your team walk over you. And this is the one thing I'll give Christy Sides, not give Christy Sides credit for, that I would have given Christy Sides credit for if the players went after her and she sat them. No, it's about the season. Coaching a team is about the season. It's not about one game.